Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order. Welcome to Hapanwo TV. And this is 3 days now after that horrific event in London, in Woolwich, in which news reports claim that a man was hacked to death in the street by some pair of Muslim extremists. It's the 24th of May, Friday, 2013. And I'm pleased to say that so far a lot of the unrest that I was predicting has not broken out. However, that could change now. The victim of this attack has been named as Drummer Lee Rigby, a 25-year-old from the 2nd Battalion of Royal Regiment of Fusiliers. And he leaves behind a 2-year-old son called Jack. It's pretty awful. Now, all I can say is, you know, rest in peace, Lee Rigby, and deepest condolences to your loved ones. I mean, there's absolutely no conditions on how I feel about someone being killed, an innocent young guy being killed like this. However, there are some questions I need to ask, because this man is going to be turned into a military religious hero, and he's going to have a huge funeral, which is going to fuel the instability and the anger and enragement, and what, if that's a word, enragement, and various other emotions that people are feeling at the moment. And if there is any hint of deceit or deception or subterfuge on the part of the authorities, then it needs to be exposed. So I make no apologies for asking these questions. And one of the questions I've got to ask is, did he actually die in the circumstances we've been told about in the news? Think about it. Did he really get hacked to death on the street? Or if, as I've explained yesterday, there are severe anomalies associated with this news story, did he die in some other way? Was he perhaps executed in secret on a military base? If that's the case, then that needs to be exposed for the sake of simply respect and, you know, and sort of for his memorial. And also to prevent this sort of thing happening again. If this kind of level of duplicity is going on, it needs to be uncovered, it needs to be revealed, so that it can be stopped and nothing else can happen like this. You know, I mean, I know that you know, a lot of people won't like me saying this, but I'm still going to say it. Because his memory may well be used as an agitator for this civil war that the government are planning. And make no mistake, they are planning it. They're planning a civil war in this country between Muslims and non-Muslims, as I said yesterday. There's been more arrests, and more people have been arrested. Interestingly, you know, this guy seems to be popular and witty, extremely popular. He had Riggers, he was nicknamed as, his traditional army nickname. And I've also got to ask the question, again, I don't apologise, does he even exist at all? Or could he be a Comrade Ogilvy? I'm going to read you a passage now from George Orwell's 1984. You can get this in the public domain now, it's on Project Gutenberg. It talks about Winston Smith is sitting in the Ministry of Truth writing a obituary, which is going to be put on the prol feed, the media, and it concerned a certain Comrade Ogilvy, who had recently died in battle in heroic circumstances. There were occasions when Big Brother devoted his order of the day to commemorating some humble rank-and-file party member whose life and death he held up as an example worthy to be followed. Today he should commemorate Comrade Ogilvy. It was true that there was no such person as Comrade Ogilvy, but a few lines of print and a couple of faked photographs would soon bring him into existence. And Winston starts writing an obituary for this guy, this non-existent man. At the age of 3, Comrade Ogilvy had refused all toys except a drum, a submachine gun and a model helicopter. At 6, a year early, by special relaxation of the rules, he had joined the Spies. At 9, he had been a troop leader. At 11, he had denounced his uncle to the Thought Police. At 17, he had been a district organiser for the Junior Anti-Sex League. At 19, he had designed a hand grenade which had been adopted by the Ministry of Peace, which, at its first trial, had killed 31 Eurasian prisoners in one burst. And at 23, he had perished in action, pursued by enemy jet planes while flying over the Indian Ocean with important dispatches. And it's very interesting. It's basically Winston writes an awful lot more about his character, and he hadn't, about his devotion to Big Brother. He had no subjects of conversation except the principles of the Ingsoc party, and no aim in life except the defeat of the Eurasian enemy and the hunting down of traitors, saboteurs, and thought criminals. And it's quite interesting because at the end he said, it struck Winston as curious that you could create dead men but not living ones. Comrade Ogilvy, who had never existed in the present, now existed in the past. When once the act of forgery was forgotten, he would exist just as authentically and upon the same evidence as Charlemagne or Julius Caesar. Interesting indeed. Another news story is that the BBC, this is the latest, the BBC have had a former a senior intelligence officer, explaining how the Woolwich attacks like this would be incredibly hard to stop. And basically explains how what can the intelligence services do to prevent this sort of thing happening, these low nutcases, etc., etc. Well, actually, it's very simple. It's very easy to stop attacks like this, and that is for those same intelligence services not to fund and train and indoctrinate people like Anjem Chowdhury, who's being interviewed in the news here. Not that lady, she's the newsreader, him. As I said yesterday, this man, Anjem Chowdhury, was a British intelligence agent. That's provable. Right, he served MI6 in the Bosnian War. And in this case, you can see they've done his beard a bit better now. I mean, there was one news report a few years ago where you could actually see the glue where his false beard had been stuck on. They weren't even trying. Basically, like I said, if this man is funded and controlled by the intelligence services, and he is the spiritual and political inspiration for the alleged perpetrators of this crime, then what's going on? The BBC have an intelligence officer talking, it's almost like they're perpetuating this charade. This guy here, ex-MI6 officer Richard Barrett. So we've got two MI6 officers in the same news story, Anjem Chowdhury and Richard Barrett. Isn't that ironic? Preventing such attacks is so incredibly hard. It's just this nonsense that is being parroted on the news. And these very, very obvious questions, which nobody's asking. Oh, dear. Oh, well, right, on a personal note, after yesterday's video, I received a lot of very supportive comments. Thank you very much. I also received a lot of very rude comments, a couple of unsubs, etc., etc. Now, fine, I don't actually make a Panmo TV for the purposes of winning a popularity contest. Okay, I make it for the purposes of telling the truth and hopefully preventing civil war in Great Britain. All right, so I don't really care if people unsub. I don't care if people are rude, but I do have to challenge some of the things they say. For example, one of the accusations that was in the comments box in last week's video yesterday's video, was that what I was doing was insulting. It was insulting to the poor man who died. Really? Well, check out the description box. There's a video in there called How to Show Respect to the Victims of 9/11 and Their Families. I'll just show you the page. Where is it? Hang on. Oh, I had it a minute ago. There we are. How to Show Respect to the Victims of 9/11 and Their Families. Right, I'll post a link in the description box to that. And it's about a man called Nobby the 19er, who's a comedy character I've created, and about how he shows respect to the victims of 9/11 and their family. And basically, according to these idiots and morons who posted saying I was insulting people yesterday, the way to show respect, for instance, if you see a crime like an old lady getting kicked to death in the street and her handbag being pinched, is you keep quiet and you walk past the scene and you don't say a word. The way to show respect to that lady's memory is to keep quiet, I say, and collaborate with the conspiracy to conceal what happened and let the real perpetrators walk free. That's how you show respect. You show respect by perpetuating a myth, the myth which caused this man's death, if indeed he is a real man, and the myth by which more people are going to die. And more people are going to die, and what's more, in the course of those deaths, it's going to trigger a civil war, as I explained yesterday in the last film, which is going to lead to maybe little 2-year-old Jack in Manchester Lee Rigby's son dying. Alright, so shut up with all this crap about it being an insult, right? You people are insulting. You are insulting because you are, you may not know it, you may be doing it unwittingly, but you are collaborating with a criminal conspiracy to fool the British people in the most despicable manner. Not as well as murder. Alright, so thanks. So this is the point. This is the interesting point I'm going to make, and I'm going to keep on making them. So check out check out that video, how to show respect to the victims of 9/11 and their families, in the description box. Let me know what you think, and thank you, Hapanwo TV viewers, for watching. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order.